should go from anonymous, pseudonymous, real name. These each have their different purposes. But the new concept is that pseudonym, you can have multiple of them, by the way. Your ENS name, you could have it under your quote real name or state name, like lexfriedman.eth, but you could also be punk6529.eth, okay? Mm-hmm. And now you can sign documents, you can boot up stuff, you can have a persistent identity here, okay, which has a level of indirection to your real name. Why is that very helpful? Because now it's harder to both discriminate against you and cancel you. Concerns of various factions are actually obviated or at least partially addressed by going pseudonymous as default, right? It is the opposite of bring your whole self to work. It's bring only your necessary self to work, right? Only show those credentials that you need, right? Now, of course, anybody who's in cryptocurrency understands Satoshi Nakamoto and so on is for this, but actually many progressives are for this as well. Why? Ban the boxes. It's like you're not supposed to ask about like felony convictions when somebody is, being hired because they've served their time, right? Or you're not supposed to ask about immigration status or marital status in an interview. People have this concept of blind auditions where, if a woman is auditioning for like a violin seat, they put it behind a curtain so they can't downgrade, her for playing. So her performance is judged on the merits of its audible quality, not in terms of who this person is. So this way they don't discriminate versus male or female for who's getting a violin position. So you combine those concepts like ban the box, not asking these various questions, blind auditions, and then also the concept of implicit bias. Like if you believe this research, people are unconsciously biased towards other folks, right? Okay, so you take all of that, you take Satoshi and you put it together and you say, okay, let's use pseudonyms. That actually takes unconscious bias even off the table, right? Because now you have genuine global equality of opportunity. Moreover, you have all these people, billions of people around the world that might speak with accents, but they type without them. And now if they're pseudonymous, you aren't discriminating against them, right? Moreover, with AI, very soon, the AI version of Zoom, you'll be able to be whoever you want to be and speak in whatever voice you want to speak in, right? And that'll happen in real time.
This is really interesting. But for Finsta and Rinsta, there's some sense in which the fake Instagram you're saying is where you could be your real self. Well, my question is under a pseudonym or when you're completely anonymous, is there some sense where you're not actually being your real self? That as a social entity, human beings are fundamentally social creatures. Mm-hmm. And for us to be social creatures, there is some sense in which we have to have a consistent identity that can be canceled, that can be criticized or applauded in society. And right. That identity persists through time. So is there some sense in which we would not be our full, beautiful human selves unless we have a lifelong, consistent real name attached to us in a digital world?
So this is a complicated topic, but let me make a few remarks. First is real names, quote unquote, state names were not built for the internet. They're actually state names, right? It's actually a great way of thinking about it. Social security name, right? Yeah. So your state name, your official name, was not built for the internet. Why? They give both too much information and too little. Okay. So too much information because someone with your name can find out all kinds of stuff about you. Like, for example, if someone doesn't want to be stalked, right? The real name is out there, the stalker knows it. They can find address information, all this other kind of stuff, right? And with all these hacks that are happening, just every day we see another hack, massive hack, et cetera. That real name can be indexed into data that was supposed to be private, right? Like, for example, the Office of Personnel Management, like the government, the US government, many governments actually, are like a combination of the surveillance state and the Keystone Cops, right? Why? They slurp up all the information and then they can't secure it. So it leaks out the back door. Okay, they basically have 100 million records of all this 300 million records, all this very sensitive data. They just get owned, hacked over and over again, right? And so really there should be something which totally inverts the entire concept of KYC and what have you. And of course, comply with the regulations as they are currently written. But also you should argue privacy over KYC. The government should not be able to collect what it can't secure. It's slurping up all this information. It's completely unable to secure it. It's hacked over and over again. China probably has the entire OPM file. And it's not just that, like Texas is hacked. And some of these hacks are not even detected yet, right? And these are just the ones that have been admitted. And so, what happens is criminals can just run this stuff and find, okay, so that guy who's got that net worth online and he merges various databases, they've got a bunch of addresses to go and hit. Okay. So in that sense, state names were not built for the internet. They just give up too much information. In our actually existing internet environment, they give up too much information. On the other hand, they also give too little. Why? If instead you give out lexfriedman.eth, okay, or a similar crypto domain name or Urbit name or something like that, now that's actually more like a DNS. Okay. First, if you've got a lexfriedman.eth, what can you do that? Some you can do today, some you'll soon be able to do. You can pay lexfriedman.eth. You can message lexfriedman.eth. You can look it up like a social profile. You can send files to it. You can upload and download. Basically, it combines aspects of an email address, a website, a username, et cetera, et cetera. But eventually I think you'll go from email to phone number to ENS address or something like that as the primary online identifier, because this is actually a programmable name, right? Whereas a state name is not. Think about it, like a state name will have apostrophes perhaps in it, or is that your middle name or this and that? That was a format that was developed for the paper world, right? Whereas the ENS name is developed for the online world. Now, a reason to say ENS or something like it, somebody in a village, their name might be Smith because they were a blacksmith, or Potter because they were a potter, right? In the same way, I think your surname, right now for many people, it's .eth, and that reflects the Ethereum community. Your surname online will carry information about you. Like .sol says something different about you. Mm-hmm. .btc says yet something different. I think we're going to have a massive fractionation of this over time. We're still in the very earliest days of our internet civilization, right? 100, 200 years from now, those surnames may be as informative as, say, Chen or Fridman or Srinivasan in terms of what information they carry, because the protocol, it's the civilization fundamentally that you're associated with, right?